Nicole Kidman details overcoming feeling broken amid her split from Keith Urban. Less than 2 weeks after filing for divorce from Keith Urban following 19 years of marriage, the actress details why her favorite aspect of growing older has been learning how to handle whatever life throws at her. Nicole tells Harper's Bazaar in an interview published on October 9th, "The best part is the experiences that you've accumulated. You go, oh, I've been here before. I actually know how to handle this now. Or maybe I haven't been in this place, but I've experienced something similar to this, and I do know that I will get through it." The Practical Magic actress adds, "There's something to knowing that no matter how painful or how difficult or how devastating something is, there is a way through."
For months, the silence felt louder than any headline. Keith Urban, a man celebrated for pouring raw emotion into his music, said nothing while the world speculated about the end of his marriage to Nicole Kidman. Fans dissected every appearance, replayed interviews, slowed down video clips, and analyzed lyrics as if they were coded messages. They searched his face for signs, his pauses for meaning, his tone for cracks. Still, there was nothing. No confirmation, no denial. No explanation. That silence became its own kind of confession. In the absence of words, people filled the space with rumors, assumptions, and half-truths. Stories grew larger, sharper, more dramatic with every passing week. And yet, Keith remained quiet. So when he finally broke that silence, it didn't feel like a calculated media moment. It felt like a release, one weighted with honesty, restraint, and emotional clarity that stunned even the most skeptical fans. To understand why Keith's words hit so deeply, you have to understand what his relationship with Nicole Kidman represented to the public. They weren't just another celebrity couple. They were a symbol of survival, second chances, and steady love in an industry known for instability and short-lived unions. Nicole, the composed and deeply private actress, had lived much of her adult life under intense scrutiny. Her fame came early, her personal life even earlier, and she learned quickly how unforgiving public attention could be. Keith, the gifted musician with a complicated past, had been open about his struggles, his recovery, and his growth. Together, they seemed balanced, grounded, real. Their interviews radiated mutual admiration. Their public appearances felt respectful, rather than performative. They spoke about each other with care, not exaggeration. For years, people pointed to them as proof that Hollywood marriages didn't always end in disaster, that two people could grow, change, and still choose each other. But behind that image, time was passing. Careers expanded. Demands intensified. Schedules grew heavier. And slowly, almost invisibly, emotional distance began to form. Not in a dramatic way. Not with scandal, betrayal, or explosive arguments. But in the quiet ways relationships often drift apart. Missed conversations, unspoken needs, exhaustion mistaken for strength, and long periods apart that subtly change how two people connect. Fans didn't notice it at first because nothing looked broken. There were no tabloid scandals, no awkward red carpet moments, no public tension. But looking back, the signs were there. Nicole began speaking more about independence than partnership. Keith emphasized gratitude more than closeness. They stood side by side at events, yet something felt slightly misaligned, not cold, just distant. At the time, these details meant nothing. In hindsight, they feel like puzzle pieces that only made sense once the picture was complete. When the divorce was finally announced, the shock wasn't just about the separation. It was about how quietly it happened. No public arguments, no accusations. No emotional statements released to control the narrative. Just confirmation, simple and restrained, that left fans staring at their screens, wondering how something that seemed so solid could end. Without warning, that's when speculation truly exploded. Some blamed distance, others blamed fame. Many assumed there had to be a hidden scandal because the idea that love could fade without drama felt unsatisfying. People wanted a villain. They wanted a reason that fit neatly into a headline, and through all of it, Keith said nothing. He continued performing. He smiled on stage. He answered questions carefully, steering conversations back to music whenever possible. Every time he avoided the subject, curiosity grew stronger. Silence became pressure. So when he finally spoke, his tone surprised everyone. There was no defensiveness, no attempt to rewrite history, no subtle finger pointing. He didn't frame himself as the victim or cast blame elsewhere. Instead, he spoke with the kind of reflection that comes from sitting with loss rather than running from it. What stunned fans most wasn't a shocking detail or revelation. It was the emotional honesty behind his words. Keith acknowledged something many people struggle to admit, that love alone isn't always enough, that timing matters. That two good people can grow in different directions without either one being the villain. He spoke about pressure not as an accusation, but as a reality, the pressure of always being strong, the pressure of maintaining an image, the pressure of balancing personal needs with public expectations. He hinted at moments where communication didn't fail because of anger, but because of exhaustion, where conversations were postponed, not avoided, where emotional needs went unmet, not ignored, simply misunderstood. For the first time, fans heard vulnerability instead of silence. One line in particular stopped people cold. He spoke about realizing too late that being physically present isn't the same as being emotionally present. That sentence alone shifted the entire conversation. Suddenly, this wasn't a story about celebrity divorce or tabloid intrigue. It was about something painfully human. How easy it is to believe you're showing up for someone while still missing what they actually need. How love can coexist with distance. How good intentions don't always prevent quiet disconnection. Fans replayed that moment again and again because it felt real, unpolished, uncomfortable, honest. What Keith didn't say was just as powerful as what he did. He never accused Nicole of walking away. He never implied betrayal or resentment. Instead, he spoke with respect, acknowledging her strength, her resilience, and the emotional weight she had carried for years. In doing so, he shifted how many people viewed her silence. What once looked like emotional distance began to look like emotional endurance, the kind that wears you down slowly until one day you realize you're tired of always being the strong one. Nicole's response, or lack of one, began to feel different too. She didn't rush to contradict him. She didn't issue statements or offer explanations. She continued forward with the same composed presence she had always shown. And after Keith spoke, something changed in how people understood that silence. What once felt like avoidance began to look like dignity. It no longer seemed as though she was refusing to explain herself. It felt like she was protecting her peace. For many fans, that distinction mattered deeply. His words reframed the story, casting her quiet not as weakness, but as restraint, the choice of someone who had already said everything that needed to be said behind closed doors. Social media reacted almost instantly. The tone shifted from speculation to recognition. Fans who once demanded answers began expressing heartbreak instead. Many said they finally understood why the marriage ended, not because of one dramatic event, but because of a slow emotional drift neither side could fully stop. Keith's honesty gave language to emotions many people had carried for years without knowing how to explain them. As his message spread, others began admitting that his reflections mirrored their own experiences in deeply personal ways. What started as a conversation about a celebrity relationship transformed into something far more intimate. Comment sections filled with raw, unfiltered stories. People spoke about emotional distance that didn't arrive suddenly but crept in quietly over time. They described missed signals that only became clear in hindsight. Love that didn't fail because of betrayal, but because of timing, pressure, and expectations that were never spoken aloud. Strangers connected through shared pain. People who had never met exchanged understanding, realizing that even relationships that appear strong, stable, and unbreakable from the outside can unravel in silence. There was comfort in seeing their own experiences reflected back at them. Notice personal failures, but as part of a broader human pattern. For many, it was the first time they felt seen rather than judged. As empathy grew, blame began to lose its grip. The narrative softened in a way rarely seen online. Conversations that once focused on who failed or who gave up shifted towards something more thoughtful, an exploration of effort, communication, and emotional presence. Instead of outrage, there was reflection. Instead of gossip, there was understanding. Even the media adjusted its tone. Headlines lost their sharp edges. Coverage moved away from sensational claims and toward emotional nuance. Commentators acknowledged that some endings aren't explosive.